I know.
It's in the cemetery. Like the band
Don't look too close to that. Yeah. No, not on the other side. On the other side, no, he's not here. Let's go taste in New Jersey. We're in Denver. Like we're like the other side, like where you go. That's why I said yeah. I know. I was like, wow, you like really are. Yes, I just said that. No, Stella. Look, that's switched off. Oh, I got it. It's just a
Yeah, because the pool wasn't there when we were there.
Yeah, that was the idea.
That was so September 23. She was like,
If you'd like to make your way closer to the tent, out of the way of your
yeah.
There's a golf spot back there. And, there's snow and all that. You did put a hat on. I had left my hat in front.
Yeah, well, that's what,
It was a baseball cap, so you got
sure. Yes.
sit there. Hazel's here. She's all. What's she? Just down. You wanna sit, sweetie? Yeah. Where we're actually sitting. Sit here for now. Let's go back. This is your only If I could have the pallbearers meet me at the back of the coach. Dear lovelies, we're gonna come right this way with the casket. So if you want to make your way this way, we'll back up a little. Girls, just go over here. here.
If you want to sit in the front, okay, go over here. So this is gonna, Gigi's gonna be here. Sit here.
No, enough. That's it, thanks.
Neither has to climb on it.
Wait, I'm gonna be in the middle.
Gigi. No, Gigi is gonna sit with grandpa. Sit here. No, honey, you can sit with his walk. Kara's kind of on here.
Watch it, you.
We're going here.
Okay, now we're putting it in a good spot. Time.
Bird. We're going to sit here. This, we're putting it here.
Here's Scarlett.
I wanted to sit down and no, I'm fine.
Okay, so we've
Yeah, there's room. We could still get him.
Right in the way of the live stream. So in the shade.
Just people who are immediate mourners. This is a moment of transition for us. When we tear for a couple of reasons. We're gonna put a ribbon on and wear our clothing because it helps to do something physical. Nobody wants to. We tear because this is a big rip in the fabric of your soul and your family, and we tear to acknowledge that. We rip because it hurts. It's broken, and we tear to acknowledge that, and we tear. You know, Gail, you were saying to me yesterday, I don't even know how I feel because you've been handling so many logistics. We tear because this changes your status. You have been a logisticator, a planner, a decision maker, an organizer for the last couple of days, and now you become a mourner. This is a moment in which we acknowledge that you have taken care of all of the things that we needed in order to get him here. You did it. Everybody's here and everybody is safe and present. And so now we hope that you will let us take care of you the way that you have taken care of him. So I'm going to give these to you. And immediate mourners of parents and children and sibling and spouses, but also so in a second, we're going to say some words. You're going to pin it on to your heart, the opposite side of your heart. these words after me. We're going to say Adonai Nathan, Adonai Lapach, Adonai Mevorach. That means for hearts that are torn, God gives and God gives and God takes away. Blessed is the name of God, and we perform this act of the tear. So you can go ahead and use their ribbon, have it get just a little bit of the tear. Or not all the way, and you can wear this for the next week. It signifies your status as a mourner. We're going to say 3 more words: Baruch, Dayan, Amen. Bless this God who provides us with truth. We're going to formally begin our service today. I'm Rabbi Emily Hyatt. I am so sad that we are together today, and I'm so sorry to be here with you like this. And I'm also very grateful for the honor of being with you in this moment and of learning about Michael and his life and all of the pieces of what make him and made him exactly who he is. We have a couple of jobs today together in the next little bit. The first thing that we do at a Jewish funeral is prepare ourselves for the hard work of saying goodbye, because it is hard, and it is harder when we have lost someone so unexpectedly like this. We are, as we say, not supposed to be here. This is not supposed to be what you're doing today. And yet we are, because that's what we do, and that's what it means to be a part of family and community, is to do the hard things for the people that we so deeply love. And so we'll start with psalms and songs and pieces of our tradition that help us to prepare. The second thing that we do is we take a few moments together to tell the story of Michael, a story that we actually cannot tell until we know how it ends. And sadly, today we do know that. And so we get to begin to tell the story of Michael's life and what is the legacy that he gifts to us. The third thing that we do today is to say goodbye to his physical presence and to lay him to rest here in this spot on this very beautiful day, and to begin that hard work of saying goodbye. And so we begin with our liturgy. And there's a lot of different pieces of our tradition that we use in a moment like this, including the words of our psalms and the words of our sages. And so we are going to begin with Psalm 121. And Psalm 121 is the one that talks about the mountains. And the words in English I'll read to you first, and then we'll say them in Hebrew. It says, a song for ascents. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, and your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your protector at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life, guard your going and your coming, now and forever. And we know that for people who are so rooted in Denver, right at the base of those mountains, and even though we can't really see them because, right, we know exactly where they are all the time, and to be buried here in this beautiful place, we hope that that is a sense for each of you and for Michael of safety and protection and home. Shir lama'alot esa einai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai osei shamayim ba'aretz al yitan lamod raglecha al yanum shomrecha hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha Yomam hashemesh lo yateka ve'yareach b'layla Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra yishmar et nafshecha Adonai yishmar tzitzacha v'lecha me'ata ve'ad olam. And we have another piece of more contemporary liturgy that we use all the time as we think about the years that have passed as Michael has grown up and the years that sadly will pass now, and thinking about this place that he will take in your lives. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the sun, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. We turn to just one more psalm, one more piece of our tradition that we hold very close. And this is a psalm that we say in almost every faith tradition at a moment of grief and mourning. It's Psalm 23. And it's got this line in it that's so famous that says, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. And so often we think of those words as talking about the person that we have lost and that we are missing, that they are in this valley of the shadow of death. We don't know where they are, and that feels hard and kind of scary and confusing for us. But there are other sages who have a whole different and beautiful perspective who say that actually that psalm is not talking about our loved one at all. That psalm is talking about us. I'll say it to you again, but this time it's us who are in the valley. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. We're in a valley today and will be for a little while. It makes a lot of sense. Grief feels low. Heartbreak feels like we are as low as we get, and our hearts are broken. But this psalm also has so much wisdom because it is a valley of a shadow of death. And one of the things that I think is so wild sometimes about the way that these things happen, it's been so cold in Denver. It's been like such a weird and freezing February, and it is hot almost today. When we think about shadows, we remember that shadows only happen when something blocks the light. If it's just dark, there's no shadow, it's just darkness. Shadow requires light and then something that keeps us from that light. Your hearts are shadowed. Your lives are a little shadowed. And yet the sun is so big and bright and hot. And I hope for you that feels like all of the heat and the warmth of Michael and his place in your life and his love for you, that it is, you can feel it. It's not blocked out. It is not shadowed, even though it feels like you have to look someplace different for it. These are the words of Psalm 23. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echzar, bino deshayar bitzeni. Amei minuchot yana, haleni nafshi yeshovev, yancheni b'magalit tzedek lema'an shemo, gam ki elech begeitz al maveh, lo ira ra ki ata imati. Shiftecha umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sorarai, Dishanta b'shemen roshi kosi revaya, ach tovech chesed yirdifuni, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamim. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. God, you lead me in right paths for the sake of your name, and even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and you have anointed my head with oil, and so my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of life, and I shall dwell in the house of God ever. And with that, we turn now to not the words of our tradition, but to your
words to the words of Michael's family as you begin the project of telling us a little bit about the pieces of Michael, of his story, of his life, of his legacy that are going to stay and live with you forever. So I don't know what order you're coming up with.
Well, thank you all for coming. It really helps us deal with this episode. As I had mentioned to a number of you, especially with families that have lost a son, this wasn't a club I wanted to belong to. I like clubs. This is not the one I wanted to belong to. So we're here. So Michael was a kind and trusting soul. He was my best friend, my golfing buddy, my go-to to just chill. He was always there for me and Gail, and I for him. He was the ultimate sports fan, had an incredible and encyclopedic knowledge of sports information. He was extremely intelligent and had a significant success in virtual reality and software sales in his most recent job. He loved going to rock concerts and recently embraced the band Goose, a group I even like to listen to. He struggled with ADHD and depression. He'd usually rise above, but it was a constant struggle. He was also the unfortunate recipient, you'll hear a little more about this, of an ongoing custody issue with his 13-year-old daughter, Sophie. We will sorely miss his most upbeat and fun-loving presence in our lives. He will be a huge loss and impossible to fill. Rest in peace, sweet son of ours.
Parent is not supposed to bury a child. How can this be? Michael was my special buddy. He was always there. He was always there for me, helping with my tech issues, getting groceries, ordering meals to be delivered, changing light bulbs, making me special sentimental cards, and letting me help him get organized with his and my ADD disorganization. We loved going to Rocky's opening days. The last time we went, he presented me with the foul ball and he caught that game and even got it signed from me. He loved traveling for concerts and for work, even when it meant training warehouse workers in Omaha or Bentonville how to perform difficult tasks in virtual reality. He surprised me when he was born 6 weeks early, and he continued to surprise me time after time, sometimes for the worst. The past few years, he was going through a very difficult custody battle with his ex, and recently she had made it impossible to keep in contact with his daughter. Sophie was the love of his life, his reason for living, and this situation broke his heart. The other loves in his life were his sister Meryl and her family, Eric, Julian, and especially his niece Scarlett. We're also thankful that they had a last get together February 19th at Kassan for old time's sake. So glad he got to introduce Scarlett to this wonderful Denver tradition. We're especially glad that he moved back to Denver last year. We were able to have many dinners together, enjoy Nuggets, Rockies, and Avalanche games with him, and play many rounds of golf until his heart condition deteriorated after COVID and slowed him down. Last Sunday, he had his best round, but it could only last 9 holes before becoming too winded and tired. We will miss you forever, our precious Michael.
Growing up, Michael wasn't just my brother. He was my best friend. He always looked out for me in ways big and small, often in ways I didn't even realize at the time. He never treated me like an annoying little sister who needed to be left behind. Instead, he let me tag along with him, and if anyone ever gave me a hard time, he was the first to step in, making it clear that no one messed with his little sister. I fully embraced my role as a little sister, which meant plenty of snooping. If Michael had something cool, I wanted to know about it. I'd sneak into his room when he wasn't home, flipping through his CDs, his baseball cards, his notebooks and pictures, anything that felt like a piece of his world. Sometimes I'd get caught, but he didn't really mind. He always let me in, always shared what he had. No matter how much I pestered him, he never shut me out. We had so much fun together, dressing up and pretending to be Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, or MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice. His sense of humor was the best, and I feel so lucky to have shared a lifetime of inside jokes with him. Things only we would laugh at, things no one else understood. One of my favorite things was going to the sports collector store with him. He'd pick out packs of baseball cards, carefully looking through them without fail. He'd always hand me a special one from the deck, or at the very least, the gum from the package. It was just another way he showed how much he cared. Michael loved sports. He didn't just watch them, he absorbed them. He knew every statistic, every player, every trade and draft pick. He'd tell me all about the Rockies and Nuggets, who they were, which players I should watch, which ones I should try and go get autographs from. I'd pick my favorites purely based on their names, Joe Girardi, Mutombo, and he'd just smile and shake his head. We went to so many games together, and I didn't always follow the score, but I followed him. And now, even though I don't watch closely, just having sports on in the background feels comforting. And then there was music, one of the deepest ways we connected. I'll never forget the day he won a contest for 2,000 free CDs. For years, we had access to anything we wanted. It was like having our own personal record store just for us. We spent hours digging through lists, picking out albums, and discovering new bands. That love of music stayed with us, evolving over the years, from sitting in our rooms with stacks of CDs to standing side by side at concerts. His sense of humor was one of the things I loved most about him. Sharp, quick, and completely his own. He had a way of finding the funniest, most obscure things before anyone else and sharing them with me like he was letting me in on a secret. We'd quote things endlessly, cracking up over references no one else understood, our own little language of laughter. So much of who I am today is because of him. Through music, through sports, through comedy, he gave me my sense of humor, my love of a great song, my appreciation for a good game, even if it was just to go for the ballpark hot dogs. He introduced me to the things that would bring me joy throughout my life. But more than being my brother, he was also the most special uncle to Scarlett and Julian. He adored them, and they adored him right back. He always showed up with gummy bears for Scarlett, and of course ice cream, because what's an uncle's job if not to spoil his niece and nephew? His love for them was so pure and effortless, and I know that even though he's not here, his love will always be with them. One of my most cherished memories with him was our last time together at Casa Bonita just 2 weeks ago. That place was special to us growing up, and seeing Scarlett and him running around like kids again filled my heart with so much joy. Holding Julian in his arms that day, you could just see the warmth and love he felt. It was a moment of pure happiness, one I will hold on to forever. Rest easy, Moo. We love you, and we will carry you with us always. There is a poem by Merritt Malloy. It says, "When I die, if you need to weep, cry for someone walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. You can." Oh, I lost the page of this. Gotta go to the other side. "And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And give to everyone else what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. And so look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind.
You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting go of children that need to be free. Remember, love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Michael was born in 1983. He was born at Rose Hospital. He started his strong Jewish identity and education in the halls of the Temple Emmanuel preschool when he was 2, and then carried that on at Herzl, the lower school of the now Denver campus for Jewish education. He was there from kindergarten to 5th grade. He went on to campus middle school and then to Kent. He loved sports. Loved playing sports in high school, played basketball and baseball, loved swimming, even when he was a little guy. He, in a story that I don't always get to hear, loved preparing for his bar mitzvah and enjoyed even the experience of learning, and had such a foundation of a good relationship with his Jewish identity that it was important enough to him that the learning was meaningful. He enjoyed being a part of the community and of being able to express his Jewish identity in that way. He graduated from high school and went to GW, to George Washington, and then did a year in Israel at Ben Gurion University, and got his last year of college in back here at DU and got a degree in psychology, but was always interested in how that applied, shockingly, to sports, and was really interested in sports psychology and also in his baseball cards and in how all of those things manifested themselves in relationship to each other, and the statistics and the tracking and the watching. And after college, he moved to LA and wanted to work there as an agent, a sports agent in particular. Never made it to being a sports agent. Had one client who was a comedian and was reportedly actually kind of funny, which I feel like is a total success for a burgeoning agent in LA. And then he got into a lot of other things and did IT sales and tech. He lived in LA and in Pennsylvania and ended up back in LA, and then got this incredible and amazing job teaching people how to use forklifts using virtual reality, which I think is such a niche but also brilliant thing to do, to be able to cut down so much on people who are untrained and make mistakes in warehouses and all of the accidents that happen. And not only was it a great job, sounds like he really liked it. And he really felt like he was doing something, and it fed not just his professional sense of well-being, but also his personal interest. He got to travel a lot, sometimes to not exciting places and occasionally to exciting places, but he got airline status, and that was a huge deal. And it turns out that Denver, thank God, is an airline hub. And so with all of that travel and all of the things that he was doing, he got to move back to Denver about a year ago, which it turns out was such a blessing, because he got to be back here and he got to be back with family and with friends. And even though he was traveling a lot and working remotely, he was based and he was the foundation here. And so as we think about the pieces of a puzzle that is so clearly just cut off, right? That is a story that does not resolve itself. We don't get to know how the pieces of any of his story work out. We don't get to see the resolution of his relationship with his daughter. We don't get to see where he would have gone in his career. We don't get to see the next place that he would have traveled. And that is unfair. And it is heartbreaking. And so we only know the pieces that did exist. And so we go back to that poem and the idea of the pieces of Michael that live with us, because we don't get to have the luxury of letting them live with him. And the poem says, when I die, give what's left of me away. And so I hope for this community that is here, for all of the friends, and in particular for his family, and for Scarlett and for your brother, I really hope that you get to take those pieces, that you get to be gifted the best pieces of your uncle. And you get to hold his love of family and his love of including his younger sibling in the things that you think are interesting. That's a good one. Don't forget that one. Even if they'll, sometimes drive you crazy. You get to remember his beautiful gift of adventure, loving to travel and to be in strange places and to investigate them and to see what they have to offer. And a love of sports and games and enjoyment, a love of music and all of the emotion that it brings, a love of Judaism and Jewish identity and holding that close to you, and a love of family, most of all, a love of knowing that there are people in your life who are just so important that they're worth fighting for. It's a beautiful legacy to live and a beautiful legacy to leave. And while we wish that he got to keep doing that actual work himself, that he got to be the one that was on that journey, we promise to continue it for him. And so our job today, as we turn now to the third and hardest part of our responsibility today, is to start the work of saying goodbye to him, but not goodbye to his memory and not goodbye to the things that he leaves us, just goodbye to the physical presence that he had in our world and in your lives. We know that his memory will be for a blessing and his legacy will live with you for a very long time. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Shem Adonai Nevorah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar etchem b'tuvo, v'himidechem b'din, v'natah b'tochechem chayei olam. Baruch atah Adonai Dayan ha'emet. Atah gibor le'olam, Adonai Rav le'hoshia. Mechalkel chaim b'chesed, mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim. Somech noflim b'rofeh cholim. Umatir asurim, umetayam emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al givurot umito melach. Melech meimit umetayei umatziach yeshua. Baruch atah Adonai notea b'tocheinu, chayei olam. Dayan ha'emet shofet tzedek va'emet. Baruch Dayan ha'emet, yilchol mishpotav tzedek va'emet. Nefesh kol chai b'yadecha, tzedek lo ayamincha b'yadecha. Rachem al pleitat son yadecha, v'tomar lemalach cheref yadecha. Gadol ha'itza v'rav ha'aliliyah, asher einecha b'kuchot ofol l'rachai b'nei adam. Letei la'ish kidracha v'chifri me'alalav, lahagid ki asher Adonai tzuri, v'lo avlata bo. We have, before we say our concluding and memorial prayers this afternoon, one more obligation to Michael. It is, I think, one of the most beautiful things that we do in Jewish tradition, and also one of the most difficult. When we bury our loved ones, we don't just know that someone will fill the grave and assume that it's going to happen. We participate ourselves with our own hands and our own strength and our own bodies, and it's impossible. It feels impossible. And yet, number one, it makes us absolutely sure that you have done everything that you needed to do to get your sweet boy to this place, that he is safe, that he is secure, that he is where he needs to be and at peace. It also gives us one more last time to tuck him in, to make sure that he is safe in this place where he will rest. So I'm going to tell you just 2 or 3 quick things about this tradition in case this is your first time or it's been a minute. Number one, I'm going to invite first the members of Michael's immediate family to participate. In Jewish tradition, And then everybody else will be welcome to participate. In Jewish tradition, there's a lot of custom that's involved in this particular experience. We here at Emmanuel Cemetery do it symbolically. We're not going to fill the grave all the way because there's a vault that will go on top when we are done. We will put in a symbolic amount of earth because this tradition matters to us. When we shovel, we often do 1 or 2 shovelfuls because we want to make sure that there's enough earth for everybody who wants to participate. We often do our first shovelful upside down. Let me be abundantly clear, it's a terrible way to shovel. It absolutely does not work very well. It's okay because this is hard in our hearts, and so it is hard also physically. We symbolize that by using the back of the shovel for the first time, and then we turn that shovel over and we use it the right way the second time. And another tradition that we have is that we put the shovel back into the earth rather than handing it to the person next to us. Everybody gets to have their own experience of this grief. We don't pass our grief or emotions from one person to another. And the third piece is that you are absolutely not obligated to participate. You're welcome to watch. And if it's more comfortable for you not to use the shovel, but just to take a little earth in your hand and to participate in that way, you are absolutely welcome. So I'm going to invite up immediate family to begin, and we'll take a moment.
Like premonition, storm behind your eyes. All the questions as you lie awake at night. Is this really what I wanted? Will I ever be anything but a pretender living inside of a dream? Give it time, go ahead, give it hell, give it all you've got, give it up for something else. It's a revelation, it's a hallelujah. It's the nature of the spirit running through you. So take it easy, just begin again. Take a step back from the race that you've been running in. It's the next song coming on the radio, just when you need it. So turn it up and let it go. Turn it up, let it go. Turn it up and let it go. Turn it up and let it go. Follow the illusion. Fear behind your pride. From the morning you'll remember when you run to fight. Am I really being honest? I be free from the expectation inside. Time, go ahead, give it all you got, give it up, something else. It's a revelation, it's a hallelujah. It's the nature of the spirit running through you. Just begin again, take a step back from the race that you've been running in. It's the next song, just when you need it. So turn it up, let it go. Turn it up, turn it up. Give it up, something there. It's a revelation. It's a hallelujah. It's the nature of the spirit running through you. So take it easy. It's the next song. It's a hallelujah.
It's like PTSD. I was like all that. Let's let me know when you do. I might not.
Song coming on the radio.
I'm gonna keep it warm for you.
Right here. Choo-choo, yeah, choo-choo. That's his favorite song. Yeah, we went together. Other jam band, you know. I'll be here in. I might take Stu with me. Yeah.
All right, today. That's such a heedless one.
One consolated song, separated from all above. God, saturated tongue, heart rated, gone out and out. On the way, I was bound till I got on the back of my spine. We'll be going so that I in the corner of the light. It's going down tonight. So ready on the floor. Oh, you know I'm coming back for more. Tickets so unheard. Baby, you know.
I think that, you know, what happened or whatever, but just more introduction.
No, but we're there, right? I don't know how nice it is, but you know what I mean.
In just a moment, we're going to conclude with our memorial prayer. We're going to rise as we are able. Amale Rachami, Shochen Bamromi, Amtei Menucha Nechona, Tafat Kanfe Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Utehorim, Kezohar, Harakia Mazirim, at Nishmad Moshe Orei, Ben Sara Tziva Visadia, Shehalach Leolamo, Bala Rachamim Yasirehu, Beseter Knafav Leolamim, B'Yisror Achayim at Ishmato, Adonai Hu Nachalato, Ve'anuach B'Shalom, Al Mishkavo, V'Nomar, Amen. God of abundant mercy, God most high, may the soul of our loved one who has gone into eternity find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace, together with the holy and pure whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold Michael Andrew Kassan close to you forever so that his soul may be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May he rest in peace, find a home with you, and stay with you. And together we say, Amen. We turn now to our final words before we conclude, the words of the mourners Kaddish. And these are words that evoke in us such a sense of sadness and mourning. They are words that we say when we are heartbroken, and yet the words themselves say not one word about death or sadness. They talk about the beauty of life and the gifts that we have been given. And today we hold both the sounds of little voices, even as we are in our grief. We know that that is actually just the truth of this day. And it is the truth of our grief is that we hold both. And so I invite you to join with these words of the mourners Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Dibrach Virute, Be'amlich Malchute, B'chayechon, U'vyomechon, U'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala U'bizman Kariv Yimru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam U'le'omei Amaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudisha, Brifu, Le'ela, Minko, Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Ta'amiran Be'alma, V'yimru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Huya Aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Before we conclude, I'd like to make sure that everybody knows that
Adonai. Go your way, for God has called you. Go your way, and may God be with you. May your righteousness go before you, and the glory of God receive you. We conclude with ancient words from our traditional Makomina Sabbath Samatok Sha'ar of Lake Zion, Yerushalayim. May God comfort you amongst the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. It reminds us that you are not the first to mourn, and you will not be the last. And so we hope that the wisdom of our traditions and our community holds you up in your time of greatest sorrow. We thank all of you for being here to help comfort this beautiful family. That concludes our service this afternoon.
All right.
So, I mean, he is spending his time scrubbing websites, scrubbing,
Thank you all for your virtual attendance.